On multiple occasions, we have tried liquid cooling a computer with the cheapest parts we could find, be they from eBay or the local hardware store. But the problem always comes back to this: building a loop with parts designed for something else, like say using an aquarium pump, is pretty jank. So we endeavored to track down some parts that are actually designed for cooling PCs, but are as inexpensive as the non-purpose built stuff. And thanks to the power of AliExpress, they are finally here. And a total mess. Origin PC offers beautiful custom desktops and laptops such as their Evo 15S that weighs only 4.3 pounds and is under an inch thick, featuring smooth 144Hz, 1080p or 4K displays and an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1070 Max-Q. Be sure to check them out at the link below. The first step on our journey was, of course, to source the parts. And because of that, the surprises actually started early on. I mean, little did I know that there is a massive market of off-brand water cooling gear, like brands I've never heard of, like Sys Cooling and Barrow and Meitu Feng. And some of it, surprisingly, like actually looks pretty legit. So naturally, we did what any sane person would do and ordered a freaking whack ton of it. Like a whole bunch of them, including a few parts that I would describe as decent looking and a few that were not so much. Just sort of like a auto shoddy approach. You know, fire at the wall and see what sticks. So once we had everything on order, I figured, yeah, okay, probably like a month for free delivery on a boat from China, right? Wrong. So we actually ordered most of the parts back in September of 2017, and the last one arrived in January of this year. So needless to say, that was quite the setback. While we waited, we also ended up buying a couple more odds and ends, like, which radiators are you talking about? These radiators? Like these radiators and a couple of pumps. So that's why it has taken us until July, almost an entire year, to actually make this video. So like, yay, free international shipping. You get what you pay for. And what exactly is it that we did get, Jake? Like, do I just like go through this stuff?
I mean,
like,
yeah, go for it.
Holy crap, look at this thing. So this is just a copper plate, a piece of plexi, a gasket that doesn't even seem to be made of like any kind of malleable, like soft material.
Yeah, it's just hard plastic.
And it's just a straight up, like flat piece of copper on the bottom. This one is based on a very similar design, if you can call a flat piece of copper design. This one's almost the same. This is the same thing. This is the same thing with a different bracket. This bracket is stupider. So I guess these guys are the engineers of the dunce class. Okay,
See,
but then these look all right.
The postings on the internet, they don't give you that great of a description of what you're getting.
These guys went to school. And this one actually looks not bad too. So these are both kind of pin array style blocks that again are based on very similar designs. So they are direction agnostic. They just go in, pass through some fins, and then come out. So is that all the CPU blocks? Oh
yeah,
no, there's
well,
more.
Okay, let's kind of.
This one looks ballin'. How much was this?
I think it's like 15 bucks.
15 bucks?
Like, it's cheap.
Wow. I mean, and not including these EK fittings, of course, right?
But like, that's not a performance.
It's nickel plated. These pumps look pretty friggin' sketch though. Like, look at this thing. It's got some weight to it, so I'll give it that.
It's got some weight to it. It's not just a fragile little piece of trash.
But I don't know that that's necessarily meaningful.
So like these two are basically the same, just with different tops.
You see this a lot when you order stuff from China, where
This is the same company as
it's
well.
like designs that are clearly, you know, borrowing from each other or straight up produced at the same factory and then just rebranded with, like, Chinese companies rebranding Chinese products in the same way that, like, international companies just rebrand Chinese products.
So it turns out these radiators are actually aluminum.
Okay, so heads up for you guys, you don't want to mix metals. Aluminum plus copper equals corrosion. But the good news is that we did follow up the aluminum radiator orders. Like sometimes when you're ordering stuff from China, you don't even know exactly what it is. Like one thing we thought was a block is just an LED to go in a block. So you can get copper and brass radiators with just aluminum fins that don't touch the water for like $5 more. Even if you're going the AliExpress water cooling route, spend the extra $5. Now, one thing you might notice that we didn't order any of is fittings and reservoirs. And the reason for that is that while there are some really cheap options out there, they don't affect performance, so using them in this kind of a test where we're evaluating the performance serves no purpose other than to have more potential points of failure where we can leak water onto our hardware. So we just stuck with the stuff that really affects performance, like this LED. How much did we pay for this block?
It was like $5.
$5. But then given that we probably paid about $5 for this.
It's into one of these actually.
Oh, really?
Maybe it's it's the nice one. So you can actually stick the
So
little
this
LED
is
in there.
just LEDs for this.
For blocks.
For block, yeah, okay.
Of course,
No,
there's a
I've
little bit.
seen this kind of thing before. Probably worth the $5.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Enough fun and haul videos for now, though. We need to actually test these things. But before we can do that, we need something to compare our numbers against, some kind of standard. Luckily, Jake keeps his test bench water-cooled for some reason, so we can just use that. This is actually a pretty standard setup from one of the best in the biz, EK Water Blocks. So to cool the 4 GHz 5960X, we've got EK's Supremacy Evo, mated to a 360mm PE series radiator and a D5 PWM pump. And we're gonna crank that pump to 100% for the purposes of this test. Now, with the baseline test out of the way, it's time to take some of our AliExpress wonders for a spin. Now we're gonna assume that if you're buying some parts super cheap from AliExpress, you're probably buying most of them there. So because of that, we're gonna build the whole loop out of these parts. The only EK stuff we're using, again reminder, is the reservoir and the fittings. So what do you wanna start with?
You know, I was thinking I really want to try one of these just like gross flat blocks.
Sure.
But
Are we gonna save that for the climax?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should get like a proper.
Do you wanna do like the really legit
this
looking?
One, yeah, I
okay.
want to do like a baseline of our AliExpress stuff. Like
Sure, like
the stuff
best
that you would
case
actually
scenario.
buy. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you should probably buy this, but you can.
This is actually, like, have you taken this apart and put it back together or something? Because this is like not an amazing design, actually, from everything that I know about water
Yeah,
cooling.
and it needs like a jet plate.
While Jake builds up our first AliExpress loop, let's talk pricing. That EK config that we showed first, with everything included, would cost you a whopping $380. I know that sounds like a lot, but for custom water cooling, that's not actually that outlandish. Now with that said, what Jake's building right now is around $90, including everything that you need, about a quarter as much. Okay, so this is it. We're on the full AliExpress loop. The Express loop. It sounds like a train or something. The AliExpress loop with the SIS Cooling SCP-67F, which Jake found was pretty much the best bang for the buck, and he had AIDA64's FPU test running for about 20 minutes to give it a chance to reach equilibrium, and we're sitting at about 65 degrees on average. Pretty darn impressive for the price. Really, honestly, not that far off our EK setup. Okay, now I want to see the worst case scenario. What happens when we throw this gutter trash?
Well, that one's not gonna fit. But this
Okay.
one will. It's the same thing.
This gutter trash.
Yeah,
All right,
gutter
let's
trash.
find out.
My favorite type of trash.
So it's done. Loop number 2 is set up using one of those completely flat blocks. Now our expectations for this thing, pretty freaking low. Most water blocks have channels cut or like machined or something into the base to increase their surface area, because more surface area means more heat transfer. So we would think something with negligible surface area by comparison would perform very poorly. And now that it's been running for about 20 minutes on a 5960X, it's actually doing okay. Like way better than I expected. So conclusion time then. Custom water cooling has really evolved from the days of like basement scientists with their aquarium pumps and like, you know, weird hunks of metal that they got from like that one guy in Australia that makes them and ships them around the world or whatever, to having tons of options. I mean, everything from, you know, super high-end stuff that would scare away most newcomers just due to the sheer cost, all the way down to, thanks to the power of Chinese manufacturing and free international shipping, low-end options where you can actually get reasonable performance and that coolness factor for about what you would pay for an AIO from a name brand. With that said, the performance of your AIO that would come with a warranty, or even a high-end Noctua air cooler that would also come with a warranty, would also be pretty good. So doing a build like this, super cool, was definitely fun to experiment. I'm just not sure if we're gonna put the Linus Tech Tips seal of approval, especially on the pumps. Please don't cheap out on your pump. Not recommended.
It's not that bad.
I don't recommend it.
Okay.
Never recommend it.
Well, this thing looks
Buy
pretty
D5,
What
nothing
about,
else.
What about a DDC?
Nothing else is acceptable. No, I've seen so many DDCs fail, man.
Where's my D5? What about this thing? Didn't someone give this to you?
Maybe.
I think so. At
I
LTX
think
last
someone
year.
at LTX last
And then
year.
I cracked
LTX
it.
is like tomorrow.
I
You cracked it?
and then look, I fixed it. I welded it.
Oh, lordy. Massdrop is back with another deal, this time on the Sennheiser open-backed HD 58X Jubilee headphones. These were tuned by Axel Grell. Met him. Super cool for like an engineering-y German dude, by the way, of Sennheiser and Massdrop based on feedback from the community. They feature new 150 ohm drivers and a colorway inspired by the HD 580s. They're clear, fast, with a dynamic sound profile, and they've got a glossy black headband, elliptical ear cups, and
Let's roll. Way to go.
Русский? Hello? Hi, hello. You all mic?
I go A.
B.
Let's go.
I go B2.
Shorts. Z.
Z. Last on highway. He should be pretty low. A nice one, man.
Grab your gear and let's go. Throwing flashbang. Grenade out. Incendiary. Fire in the hole. Laying down smoke.
Two half HP B. Last half HP man. Side. Ah, nice Ruski clan, very nice.
Yes.
I'm defusing the bomb.
You guys good, yes. Easy
Yeah,
win.
very good.
Yeah.
Go, go, go! Smoke. Flashbang.
Underruns.
Grenade out. Throwing smoke. Smoke.
It's going to be B.
Deploying flashbang. Throwing flashbang. Deploying flashbang.
Garage. Underruns. Underruns.
Counter-terrorists win. Let's go, people. Throwing smoke. Laying down smoke. Throwing a grenade. Incendiary out.
Quickly.
What the fuck?
Throwing fire. Defusing.
Good job!
Bomb has been defused. Counter-terrorists win. Let's go, let's go! Throwing smoke. Smoke. Grenade out. Laying down smoke. Flashbang. Incendiary out.
Mid. Bomb down mid.
Throwing fire.
Where is last?
Throwing flashbang. Counter-terrorist. Grenade out. is done. Incendiary. Laying down smoke. Smoke. Throwing smoke. Throwing a grenade.